There are two things that I really like to make videos and focus on when it comes to Call of Duty. Number one is, of course, story. You guys know that one. But the other one is the kind of hidden secrets that they put into the games. And today we got a bunch of them, but specifically one that to me was mind-blowing. Essentially, what happened is I woke up today at 4 a.m. Yes, I'm one of those people, unfortunately. And I looked at Twitter. And when I saw Twitter, I saw a tweet from Hunter TV. And it was of the map Rewind, and specifically something that he found on the map while he was recording a video. So I messaged him and we talked for a bit, and then I hopped into game, and this is what I found. About 1 minute into a game on Rewind, this is what happens.
11, 5, 9, 20 miles a day, 4, 11, 17, 32 the day before. Moving up and down again. There's no discharge in the war. Rise! We're seeing something different. I cannot take this anymore. Finally, a good song.
So this is super weird for many reasons. First of all, I have never seen or heard this before, nor have I heard anyone talk about this. Also, the design of the TVs and the way that it almost makes like a J is super weird here. The fact that this was never noticed is, I think, just shocking all around. Now, obviously, this starts out with a super strange speech, which, as you're going to see in a second, if you recognize it, you probably know where it is from. But the fact that this was never recognized, or no one ever talked about this, I've never seen this in one of my Easter egg videos or really anyone else's, was kind of shocking. Now, this then transitions to from that weird old-timey speech that we saw before into something else completely, and this is when you might actually start to recognize what is going on here.
Relax, Major Carver. All of us here have a common enemy. The guy who locked you up. The guy who stole my wife's work. Edward Richtofen. What do you say we find him and kill him? Huh? Let's get out of here.
What's the fucking deal? We're not going anywhere till we find my brother.
Look, it'll take me some time to get their helos spun up, and we do kind of owe it.
Okay, Raptor 1. Go locate the landing pad. Peck, Strauss, hold up at the guard station. I want Richtofen's coordinates. We'll restore power, and then locate this woman's brother.
Now, here's the thing, this gets even more confusing because I don't know when this was added. I could not find a single video showing this until, well, this one today. However, I did find one Reddit post from 7 months ago, but here's what's weird. I found a video from the Rewind map from the beta where those TVs on the wall were not actually on at all. So the ones turning on in that specific design that we see there wasn't there in the beta, but was there for the full launch. Now, if you're wondering what that audio actually is, it is the audio from the cinematic trailer for Terminus Island.
9 to 20 miles a day, 4, 11, 17, 32 the day before. Moving up and down again.
So, in other words, it is from zombies. Oh, but it gets so much weirder. So we now have a reference in multiplayer to zombies, but the references don't end there, because now if you go into the bunkers in Warzone and you do some digging around, hunt it down, if you look on a couple of the tables, specifically this is in bunker number 1, a tape for fast forward video, the video store on the map Rewind, in other words close to Liberty Falls, can be found inside the bunker. So now we have zombies, multiplayer, and Warzone all in one. Now, this is the season where we start to get teasers for the next Call of Duty game, and with the next Call of Duty game reportedly or leaked to be Black Ops 7 and potentially be a game that is not boots on the ground, that has wall running, that has boost jumping, one of the lines from this poem, and that poem at the beginning of that trailer goes by the name of Boots by Rudyard Kipling, might be saying that wrong. One of the lines is this: boots, 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 moving up and down again. Does that not sound like the opposite of boots on the ground, almost as though it's a teaser for the, I don't know, maybe I'm losing my mind, but here's the thing is there is more Easter eggs that I have found in the game as well, specifically in multiplayer. So let me show you what those are now. So what we're going to look at here are both maps that were added in Season 3 Reloaded. Starting off with Signal. Signal is the Rusalka, the boat from the end of Call of Duty Black Ops 1. This is the number station. This is where numbers are being broadcasted to sleeper agents within the United States to give them orders on things to do. Now, as far as where this is, this took place in the Gulf of Mexico, and we can see a couple things on the map that kind of are reminiscent of Black Ops 1. First of all, the map that is in Russian that has a bunch of areas throughout the United States circled. These are where Russia had sleeper agents embedded throughout the United States. Now, more interestingly, on the opposite side of the boat, we can actually hear a number sequence from Evelyn Cross be broadcasted out of the boat. On top of that, the sticky note that is on the wall is one of the number sequences being broadcasted. So I tried to decode this, switching this from letters to numbers, and technically I did translate it to Gobsjimifigon, but I don't think that's a word, and then I tried decoding that, and the only thing I got is Boogeyman. So I don't think that there's anything hidden in there, but if you find anything, feel free to let me know down in the comments. But it does end with this. And if you remember anything from Black Ops 1, when we find out in the post kind of credit scene of Black Ops 1 that Alex Mason may have had an involvement with JFK, this is what is played at the very end of the game.
Ascension.
Once again, stating Ascension. Now, the next map that we have here is called Haven. This is a KGB headquarters. Now, the first thing that I want to look at here is the computer here. Now, there's a couple little Easter eggs on here. Number one is Cerberus. So Cerberus was kind of the promotional material for Black Ops 6, which we never really ended up seeing that name in game. Now, we see that this is the location of this is Baghdad, kind of hinting in with the Gulf War. But the other thing that we have at the very bottom there is Avalon as a location with the comms name of Cyclopses, which as of right now, that really doesn't mean anything to me. Now, the other thing with this map is there were rumors that this map was actually designed for Modern Warfare 3 and is a Sledgehammer Games map. Now, I can't find too much evidence of this, but the one thing that I will say is on one of the boards that we are seeing over here, there is a map, an overhead image for a location. And I believe this location is one of the buildings on the Urzikstan map. Specifically, the area that I think this is on the map is in the south of Zerevan City. There's this kind of like big building down here. I think that is the image that we are seeing on the map, which is kind of interesting because Urzikstan isn't something that's really mentioned much in the Black Ops lore, but of course there is that crossover between the two of them. But again, this might be some information about this map having something to do or being made by Sledgehammer Games indeed. Now, on the other side of things, on that map, you can also find a satellite phone, a very recognizable satellite phone. In fact, we've talked about this one before because on the Warzone map, there is a satellite phone found inside Verdansk, specifically at the hospital. Now, there's a note beside this phone that references Stitch because it is the exact same phone that Stitch used within the Warzone cutscenes. So again, maybe referencing that this is an area where Stitch used to work at. So maybe this is a Perseus base, and maybe it even ties together Pantheon. And this brings us to the final thing that we have found, and this goes back to the ending cinematic for season 3. So once again, we've talked about this already, but this represents Stitch making a return within the season, and we've already talked about the story of that. However, earlier on in the trailer, there is a piece of paper that can be seen on the table, and when we zoom in on this paper, we can actually read it. Now, this was sent to me by Killer Stidge on Twitter. He sends me a lot of like Easter egg style things, especially for Warzone, but as far as what is being said here. So this is what the paper says. Pantheon Office of Special Operatives. Special report. Question marks, we can't make out that sentence. And then do not distribute. Full report authorized by blank. Pantheon operatives assigned to the same squadron, and then that squad is seemingly named November Wind, and then it is signed by a mysterious person. Now, looking at the signature, we tried to figure out who it was, and what it kind of looks like is that first letter is a G, and in fact, we do have a CIA data sheet on someone that looks like a similar signature. And that is Dr. Gusev Mateve. I'm probably saying that wrong, but as far as this scientist goes, he was the scientist within the Black Ops 6 campaign who worked on Cradle. He was a part of the biopreparant program, which is basically a Russian program for bioweapons, which was a real thing in the real world. Think basically what was happening in the United States, where they designed Cradle, where Case was tested on, but the Russian version of that. And it looks as though he might be signing this, so maybe he will be making a return once again on the Pantheon side of things, but we're gonna have to wait to see for that one. But I thought I would just throw that in there as well as another little Easter egg. But needless to say, based off of that trailer, it appears as though they are really trying to work the Russian angle of things back into this, with Stitch being added in, potentially Perseus, Pantheon as well, and then that whole fast forward Easter egg that we looked at the beginning. That one is extremely confusing to me, especially with it being on Warzone as well. But that's all we have today for Easter eggs. Let me know if you found any more down in the comments, or if you have any ideas of what any of these things can mean. And of course, if you keep hitting that like button on these type of videos, we will continue on making them. But as always, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and until next time, peace.
We are real.